And everyone, if you would not like to be recorded, please turn off your camera at this time. Welcome, Women in Film San Francisco members and all of our guests, and hi to everyone. My name is Julie Rubio. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the president of Women in Film San Francisco Bay Area. And I want to thank you for joining us today for our AI filmmakers panel. And for those that are new to Women in Film, we are a volunteer-run nonprofit organization, and we actively provide networking and education and social opportunities for over 10,000 people in film and TV and digital media. And like I said, this is going to be recorded today. So again, turn off your camera if you're not interested in being on camera, please. And our mission is to empower, promote, and celebrate women's creative work. And if you're interested in joining, you can click on the Become a Member link in the chat for more information. And on behalf of Women in Film San Francisco board members, Diane Walsh, Carol Hall, Neil Ernundram, Kelly White, Nicole Carlson, Darlene DeRosa, and myself, thank you so much for choosing to be here on your Saturday. We really appreciate it. The future of filmmaking is here, and are you ready? I am not ready for any of this, but I'm trying to be, and that's why we have this amazing panel today. So welcome to all of our members and our guests, and we're going to today, we're exploring one of the most important shifts happening in our industry, how AI is actively transforming our filmmaking process. And it's happening right now. So the panel brings together award-winning filmmakers working on forefront of AI storytelling. And these are creatives with real-world experience who will be sharing how their tools are being used today and how that fits into our creative work and what that may mean for our future in filmmaking. And we'll be looking at both the opportunities and the important questions. And we just really want to stay relevant to expand your creative process. And I always say, have the good people at the table, the AI table, and how to protect your voice and your technology. And this technology is going to continue to evolve. So we want to make sure we're learning. And if you're already using AI in your own work, you can go ahead and put in the chat what kind of um, uh, AI technologies you're using. And then you can also put in some of your questions. And before we begin, I want to thank our board volunteers and our community partners for helping us make this event. I have just a few housekeeping items. So first, we encourage everyone to participate in the chat. Save the chat at the end and feel free to introduce yourself and share and talk to each other a little bit if you have questions and get to know each other. And second, we'll have time for audience questions later in the program, and feel free to add your questions to the chat again. Finally, we want to open with, we want to be thoughtful, we want to be respectful, and we want to have a really good conversation. And AI happens to bring up a lot of excitement and curiosity and really valid concerns. So we invite everyone to engage today, but with the spirit of openness, as well as we're just understanding that today we're here to understand these tools and ask some important questions upon these tools and how to use them and how that can better help us within our filmmaking process. So I'd like to acknowledge our community partners for their support, because without them, these kind of events and our organization would never happen. So we really appreciate the Alliance of Women Directors, the New York Women in Film and Television, the Vine, and Philadelphia Women in Film and Television. So those are all of our community partners. And we are so thankful that they came out to support us. And thank you so much. So I'm thrilled just to introduce our wonderful guest and have a conversation today on our insider view on filmmaking and the age of AI. First, I'd like to introduce Roxanne um, Ducharme, also now known as TrashCanRoxanne. She is a French Canadian storyteller. She's a director, AI filmmaker with 40 years of experience in traditional and animation and visual storytelling. And she's based in Panama, and she creates cinematic AI-driven films that blend craft and emotion and strong visual sensibility with award-winning work and screening internationally. And she is drawing on her deep background in animation. She brings a distinctive cinematic approach to AI in filmmaking. And she also is a Daytime Emmy Award winner. Her earlier credits include An American Tale, Fievel Goes West, produced by Steven Spielberg, and the Oscar and the BAFTA-nominated British short The Village, and the beloved animated series Arthur. And her illustrations have also been featured in animated segments within documentary series for National Geographic and Discovery Channel and the Science Channel. And her recent advertising work includes AI-driven advertising work where she's working for brands like Airalo and in the UK also for Coca-Cola. Um, and then we have Basil Shadid is a Academy Award nominated Emmy winning content producer and writer and 20 years professional experience in story and development production. And his content strategies and technologies are amazing. And he has produced everything from feature-length films to broadcast commercials and podcasts, websites, books, apps, series, and courses. So, it's just, it goes on and on. For somebody that has such a great background, he has such a humble bio. Philip Shane is an award-winning documentary filmmaker and has just become such a dear friend over the years with over 35 years of experience as a producer, director, and editor. And his work includes the acclaim being Elmo, a special jury prize at Sundance, Einstein's History Channel, and Dancing in Jaffa, and Best Editing Doc Ava. And he has also collaborated on projects with Paul McCartney, Sesame Street, ABC News, where he has worked and earned both an Emmy and a DuPont Columbian Award. And again, I could go on with his bio forever, but I'm going to try and make this fast. So currently he's producing and directing the World One Want to Live In. Wait, directing the World I Want to Live In, sorry. And a feature documentary about the iconic video game Myst. That's going to be super interesting. In addition to filmmaking, Shane is active speaker and editor and educator on the use of AI in documentary storytelling, hosting the weekly webinar series AI Cafe and the podcast What the If, which is super interesting. So today we're honored to welcome Roxanne, um, Basil, and Philip to discuss the AI impact in writing, producing, editing, researching, and workflow ethics, and the future of filmmaking in itself. So today's panel, here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started. And thank you guys all and gals for all being here today. And so I'd like to start with my first question. So, okay, so every generation experiences a technological shift and changes, kind of the rules of what we believe are the rules. And for filmmaking, many believe that this moment is happening right now, and it seems that it is. Was there a specific moment when you realized AI was becoming something filmmakers could no longer ignore? And what made you take it seriously? And let's start with Philip because Philip is kind of worked with us on classes, and he also has introduced me to everybody on this panel. So I'd like to start with you.
Yeah, now I happened to know that, or to believe that the AI was going to be important immediately. I mean, immediately. It was like, but that was partly because I've been actually, I've been following. I dabble in programming and things like that, and I've been following technology for my whole life. So I've been aware of AI as it grew, so I was aware of it all along. And then ChatGPT kind of blew up, and it was like, okay, now it's basically ready for prime time, as they say. It's going to become become part of the culture. But I mean, I just made an immediate leap back to other transformative technologies that all of us have lived through. For me, most dramatically, that was when I was just starting out. When I went to film school in the late 80s, everything was on film. And then in 1992, I was working for a production company where everything was on film. And computer editing, was becoming a thing. Nonlinear editing was a thing. And I happened to, I was good at it. So I learned it right away. And suddenly I was like the only one that knew how to use that newfangled computer that we got in that one edit room. So I ended up teaching everybody. And I lived through that whole. It's not to say AI is bigger, AI is faster, but it was a similar kind of thing where, like, people had to let go of film. And I know that was a difficult thing. And so there was a lot of anger, there was some excitement, but also a lot of frustration and a lot of fear. So I just thought, oh, okay, here we go. Here we go again with that.
Roxanne, Rox, do you want to comment on that? What made you take this seriously and just kind of be like, okay, this is it. It's on.
Well, in my traditional animation career, it's the third major shift. The first one, similar to Phil, when I started in animation, we would draw on pencil on paper, and we would film the drawings. And then, yeah, there was no computer, no internet, and then there was the digital shift that forced everybody to learn Photoshop and all the digital software for animating. And then there was 3D. That's the other major shift that happened, that because of the digital and computers. There was the 3D animation phase that I never went into. I didn't learn it, and I always regretted it after. I felt like I had missed the boat because there was more opportunities in 3D. And then 3 years ago, when AI started, but when I discovered AI, that it was in the period in my career where there was no work anymore, and it's still like that in traditional animation, or even 3D special effects. There's no work, and it's been like that since the. But there's a lot of reasons, but it started with the strike in Hollywood. And then 3 years ago, I had no work and there was AI, and I thought, this time I'm not gonna miss the boat. I'm gonna learn it. So that's how I got into AI.
That's incredible. Like that it's this whole other chapter for you.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been like only doing AI since a bit more than 3 years now, and I don't even want to go back to traditional animation.
Wow. Okay, good to know. Gosh. I just feel like we're sitting on this it's a crazy time. So I get really scared and excited all at the same time about all of this.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Basil, could you speak to what made you take it seriously and what
Sure. I mean, not unlike Philip, I've been in tech, like kind of following tech for a while, like the tech industry. And as a filmmaker, I'm more of like I'm a documentary filmmaker, but a lot more like I'm much more interested in like how people can figure out how to do more things on their own rather than like try to like go through the entire fundraising like cycles that don't typically pan out for people. So I'm like always looking for alternate paths. So like um pre kind of ChatGPT, I was already playing with some earlier like AI models, which were like just experimental things at that point and weren't really like anything that was gonna like turn into something that people would actually use. But it was fun to see what technology could do, like in terms of visual, like creation or whatever. But it was more like weird and artsy. And then, all these tools kind of started being released and I was like, oh, this is and like this is an interesting way to kind of again, like break down things that like, normally take a group of people, like you can get closer on your own. And so, um, anyway, that's so my like immediately I was like, oh, these are tools not to ignore. Let's look at what they are. And I have a different relationship with a lot of the tools. Like I don't actually create like I don't use AI to create visuals. I don't use AI to create like I'm that's like not my path. I use
Mhm,
AI to create tools that can be
mhm.
used in filmmaking or to do like research or to do like sentiment analysis and lots of like other pieces of it. So like I think that I've been on a lot of these panels and I think there's a lot of different, especially now that we're like a few years into it, like a lot of people have tried it, a lot of people have gone down the path and like there are different kind of ways that people get into it. But I work most of the way I make my money is by doing a lot of brand work for tech companies. So like I'm a lot of times in the room, like hearing about what's coming and what's happening and all that. And so in terms of AI, so it's like it's always like interesting to be like, how can this tool be applied to this to like the work that I'm doing? So it's like super interesting. Also, acknowledging all the intense shit, like the dark side of AI or whatever. So.
Yes, yes. There's a lot of noise. There's that noise that you're talking about, or you can call it shit. But yes, there's a lot. And it's not just noise, like it's real. And so and you see it in the headlines. And as filmmakers, we're quietly integrating, or at least trying to. Some people have just quit. They say, no, I'm not doing this. This is not, I'm not going to be part of this. And then there's some of us that are really trying to integrate it into our everyday work. And where are you actually using AI in your workflow? So, um, like what's practical? Rox, you want to go?
Yeah. I use I use AI for in my workflow for everything, like even brainstorming with ChatGPT, um, creating images. I use ChatGPT a lot for my prompts for videos too. Like I use the microphone and I talk to ChatGPT. I explain the shot I want to make and I say, give me a prompt for that. And I do everything with AI, upscaling, image, video, everything. I'm like all day using AI.
And what is there a particular so you said ChatGPT, is there are you I hate to say I before it was Runway and Midjourney. Is there a,
I, I I still use Midjourney for the images to create the images, but then I use Nano Banana to edit them. Like if I'm creating a character, I'll make the image in ChatGPT, but then in Nano Banana, I'll ask for a rotation of the character or different face expressions. I use Nano Banana for everything after that, relating to images. And then for video, because I'm a creative partner to a lot of them, so I get to use a lot of them. I Depending on the images I make, some work better, but lately I use a lot Dreamina, Seedance. It's my favorite right now, and Kling, those two.
wow, it's all changing so fast. So
Oh yeah,
I-
it's really hard to keep up to date. It's like almost like a part-time job to keep up to
yeah,
date to it.
it's almost like you need an assistant to the AI that then can educate you and keep you going, which is kind of what you guys are doing today. Philip, any practicalities, theories? Where are you actually using AI?
Well, it's like Basil. I think I'm most interested in how you can use it, what tools you can create, and so and then maybe like Roxanne, I use it all the time. Um, but a big part of that is because I just enjoy figuring out, like, okay, what, you know, could Claude help me with this, right? Or ChatGPT or whatever. And that's the way you learn a lot of things. I mean, I learned there's so many things. I think I do with computers these days that I don't even think about anymore, literally don't think about anymore. But they began as something where it was like, well, okay, I'm going to use this word processor now. It's going to take forever because it's this thing is a piece of garbage. But I'll learn how to use a word processor, and then Photoshop and other things, right? And you just sort of get better at it. So, but anyway, in terms of what you can use it for, I right now I'm just keeping up with all of the things. That's a big, just sort of me specifically. That's sort of what I'm teaching a lot about it, so I keep up with it. And one of the reasons I love teaching is because it forces me to keep up. I would do it anyway, but like it's just extra incentive. You really got to stay up on top of things. Um, uh, I think that the video stuff is interesting because uh, not only is it there's a controversial aspect to it and whatever, but I think quality wise, it's only now getting to the point where it's actually fully. I don't even think it's there yet. Just barely
Yeah.
professional grade. Professional grade. You have to do some stuff to it. We're basically there. I mean, now 2 years ago, I remember showing people and saying, "Oh, look, here's Midjourney. This it makes images. That's great." There happens to be these video services, but like don't use them because they're not. Or check them out, but they're not ready. They're not ready. They're really bad. But they are, and like Roxanne mentioned, C Dance in particular seems to be it's just phenomenal. Basically, almost getting indistinguishable from reality if you're using the photorealistic mode, which Roxanne can tell us is one of the modes, but is not the only mode. I mean, there's so many more modes you could use, but it happens to be just it's novel and it does something to the brain. It's interesting. Lastly, I'll just say that I love the large language models, and they're not the sexy part of the thing, of all the AI stuff, but they're
Yeah.
like, I mean, they truly are Swiss Army knives in a way. There's so many things you could do with it. Essentially, it's a new kind of computer, or it's like an add-on to what the old computers were. There's so many new things to explore. So I love Claude. I don't say that Claude is better than any of the others necessarily. That just happens to be my favorite at the moment. But Claude has modes in it that are so. If you write code, there's Claude Code and there's Codex in OpenAI, so you can jump right into those. Claude offers an interesting sort of halfway point, which is called Claude Cowork. It's just another way. Basically, you can just sit there and have it do things. And I have had it do things. I'll just some really boring things, but like what a relief to get done. Like I can't remember what it was. I had something it was some sort of insurance thing I had to figure out. I had to go into my insurance website, dental insurance, something like that. And must have had 3 accounts for some reason. I literally could not figure out how to get into the damn thing. And I just gave it to Claude Code, and Claude Code actually read the whole, help documents, asked me a few questions, and just took its time, probably took 15 minutes or so, and then figured it out, and then
Yeah.
said, here's all the information for the next time you won't have this problem. I have it
So,
recommend movies to me and all kinds of stuff.
so you're
Yeah.
using it as an assistant.
As an assistant,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
So you actually have.
I've used it as creatively in terms of helping me structure films from the beginning and also do a lot of research and then digest. I do documentaries in particular. I do biographical documentaries. So typically there's a vast amount of information we're taking in if somebody's lived a whole life, right?
Yes.
So
So
it's
fun. Yeah.
really helpful for that. And then I love, and I've always seen this over your shoulder. Is that Robert McKee's story
Oh
there?
yeah.
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 So you can it knows about Robert McKee and you can give it a particular chapter if you want or whatever. Um, and hero's journey. And anyway, you can just sort of have dialogue. It doesn't do any, it never actually writes it. It's not the thing that's writing the things by any means, but it's a helpful tool. It's like a collaborator. So
Yeah. You're an assistant. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Basil, do you want to
Yeah,
comment
sure.
on this?
Um, so many things that are similar to what Roxanne and Philip have said, but for me, so again, like I one of the things that I'm working on right now, I do like a weekly. There's a radio station in town. I like do a weekly radio show, and my radio show is about like kind of like revolutionary music history dance parties. So like I'm
Neat.
like going like all the way back to the 1700s and doing like from 1700s to today, it's like how specific dance parties have actually shaped the course of the world and shaped the course of music. And and that project is like a massive project that needs like quite a bit of research and quite a bit of fact checking. My concern with a lot of the AI, especially the potential for hallucinations, is that we actually, when we do these kind of historical things, that when we kind of produce material, that we need to watch out about how we kind of change the public record. So like if the AI says one thing and then we all repeat the thing, and then there's 10 pieces of media that say this new fact that's actually wrong, then people in the future will look that up on their thing and be like, oh my God, here's a thing that's true and I saw it in this film. But like if it was hallucinated from the beginning, it's like we like start to like entrench the public record. So I'm like very concerned about how facts, like how we do fact checking and how we kind of do our research on stuff. So all that to say, I use Google LM, like Google Notebook, like Notebook LM, which is like an interesting tool that helps do kind of deep research across the web to compile a bunch of sources. And you can cut like, so if I'm researching like whatever, some particular branch of music or some particular thing for a documentary or whatever, I'll initially put a prompt into Notebook LM. It'll go search the web and create a bunch of sources. I actually download those sources and bring those into Claude AI and create a project. So all those sources are there. I'll go buy a bunch of EPUBs, drop those into as sources, and also I'll have this like rich like source material, and then I can go prompt Claude to give me information and start to help me kind of think about how to like structure the research and give me main points. But because I don't want to have it do all the work for me, because Microsoft did a study last year that showed that the more that you kind of offload your brain power to AI, the more that you actually get dumber. And like they've done all these studies, and I'm like, so like what I'll do is I'll have Claude take stuff and then actually like spit back out question like a workbook, and
Mhm.
then I go and fill out the workbook, so I'm doing a bulk of the work and then kind of having a conversation that way. Like I want it to help me think rather than me to like just offload my thinking. So then once I do that, I'll start to build like, let's say, documentary treatments or like radio show scripts or whatever based on all this information. I actually went and used GitHub Copilot and a little bit of Cloud AI to like build a tool, like a fact checking tool, and that just like sits on my computer, and I can drop a script into it, and it like removes all the kind of like, well, let's call them marketing sense, like anything that's not like a fact. It builds like a database of all the facts, and then it goes line by line and tries to find three sources that are not from an LLM, that are like online sources that back up every fact, and then categorizes those like every line, like every fact as like, yes, this is like a confirmed fact. Here's how to back it up. This is like a like is it like green, yellow, and red, and it's like tells me, and then I can go back and do all this work to like make sure my stuff's fact checked. But so I built a fact checking tool that just sits on my computer. I built like for production, like so anyways, so for production, I built like a call sheet tool that helps me, like it's like a database of all my contacts and helps me do call sheets for production. Like for post, like again, I'm a tool builder, so like I'm like, how can I use Claude Code and GitHub Copilot to actually build pieces of software that are not releasing to the world, that are just for me to like use, and then to like help my workflows. And that's been great because I can custom like adjust these tools. Like for my work, for example, I do a lot of like taking product screenshots and converting them into like animations. And so I built this tool that can take, literally go to a website, take a screenshot of a product, like some kind of like software, and then take that and then separate it into layers into After Effects, so that I can work with an animator and just hand them an After Effects file with all the things already layered out. So like that kind of production piece, they don't have to do, and then they can just go and do the animation versus like
Ah,
doing this whole piece. So like there's a lot, like this is the thing about AI, and I think the thing that like the era we're in now is like there's a million things that exist,
yeah,
there's a million tools, and there's a million ways to use these tools,
yeah.
right? And so like we have to kind of be in these conversations with each other. Like I'm sure not just us, but like everybody in the chat who's already using it, it's like everybody already is having their own tweaks to how these tools can be useful and production ready tools for them. And so I'm always interested in I know how I'm using it. I love these conversations because I'm like, well, how are you using it? How are you using it? And oh, are there things that I can dial in on my own workflows? Are there's things I need to build? Another last thing I'll say in this question is I'm always concerned with again the data center usage and all that stuff. So a lot of what I do is for my daily chats and prompt development and all that stuff, I use a program called Anything LLM, which is just a free software on my or there's an open source piece of software I download to my Mac, and then I can load in an open source model, and I can basically use uh offline I can be using chat I can be chatting with the LLM, and it's
Mhm.
not as powerful as some of the latest greatest from OpenAI and Claude and all the different companies that are making the models, but there are really really powerful models, and for 80% of the stuff I can do it offline without tapping into someone's data center somewhere and get all those daily conversations without having to be you know, worried about, adding to the additional water usage, energy usage of these massive
Yeah.
data centers. So,
Wow, you've touched upon so many important things here. And first of all, you are getting smarter for sure. So I don't think we have to worry about that.
you
But
never know.
no, but
It's all downhill.
it's it's so great because the last 2 years ago we all were on,
Yeah.
and maybe 2 years and some change. I'm not sure exactly, but and Philip's been on teaching classes and stuff in between. And so much has changed between just those 2 years. And I mean, this Tribeca film coming out recently,
Mhm.
and that was made for, I think, 3 months, $2,000, no actors, and that was accepted at Tribeca. So, so many of us are just our hair's blowing back. We're so afraid. And then here there's people like you who are ethical, and Philip and Roxanne who are really trying to, build this tool so that you're not having to, tap into the water supply, and you're actually thinking about you're the good people at the table. And really people keep saying we need guardrails. You're the guardrails. You're the good people at the table making
It's
content that
true and it's not true.
I don't want to be a
It's true
guardrail.
and it's
Yeah.
not true. I think that any usage of this stuff is
proven.
monitored with ethical concerns, and we use it because we the tools are so helpful, and sometimes we're on the right side of it and sometimes we're on the wrong side of it. And I would say that that's true of every single person who uses these tools. And I would say that that's also true throughout history with so many kinds of
Yeah,
technologies.
it's like electricity, right? So you can say, I'm not going to use electricity. It's landed. I'm not going to use it. But, for the majority of people, they ended up having to use the electricity.
Yeah.
I
Well, and the
mean,
other
I
thing I
would
will say
say,
is the Tribeca 2000. If you're getting an entire film with by only spending $2,000, you're somehow your cost of your token cost is being subsidized either you have a partnership and you're getting more tokens, or you're still in some subsidized relationship like Anthropic. I've read, and I don't know how true this is, that every dollar that is spent on for they subsidize 13 to 1 for everything that you do. And at some point, these companies will stop subsidizing these things. The profit centers of capitalism will push them to stop subsidizing things, and things will end up getting more expensive. CTO of NVIDIA, someone from NVIDIA recently said it's actually cheaper to hire a software engineer than it
yeah,
is to use AI that would replace a software engineer at this
thank God.
point. So and that's
at
in
this point.
film as well. We just haven't our bubble hasn't necessarily burst yet around that, but it will.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
and
$2,000 thing is really, I just want to point that out too. I would ignore that because and that also is, again, talking about the old days, when indie film, when DV cameras came out. Anyway, there's always been this talk of how these people made these films for very cheap. Now they did, but again, they didn't pay themselves. They didn't pay other people. So it's not really sustainable. It's not a real thing. But you can put that aside. The technological achievement, I'm really interested to see this film. I think it looks beautiful from what we've seen. It looks like a very moving and a very important story. So that's all
yeah,
great.
I,
Um,
I think we just have to make sure that there's not propaganda, that when we're making our documentaries, everything that Basil was saying when it comes to checking your work, using your brain, making sure that you're researching things properly. And I remember years ago, over 30 years ago, I was making a film. God, I'm old. And about the Impressionist painters. And I would get books from all over the world sent to me from libraries. I had stacks of them. And there were different accounts in every book
Yeah.
of the facts.
Yeah.
So that's all being fed into all of this as well. So, we do have to really make sure everything you're saying, it's really fascinating and I'm really inspired. And like I said before, I'm really scared too. Okay, so for many creatives, AI feels both exciting and intimidating at the same time. So are we uh, and I think some of us are just feeling like we're falling behind and we're freaking out, like Rox was saying with the 3D. So for filmmakers who feel intimidated by AI, where is the simplest and the highest impact place to just begin? Can you just kind of give us some tools or case use or use cases? What would be your suggestion to just help somebody kind of get into this? Rox, you want to go?
Yeah. You mean for somebody that hasn't touched AI much yet?
Well, maybe they know ChatGPT and they're working with ChatGPT and maybe they've climbed into Claude a little bit, but like what do you think is kind of the baby steps?
Well, I would start by exploring making images and videos with an aggregator. And that way you can try them all. And depending on the style of image you want to make or the kind of video, you can pick and choose different ones and you'll find the one you like. And there's a lot of aggregators right now. But my favorite is still Free Pick. That's called Magnific now because
Okay.
it's got so many tools in there.
Okay.
So I
And
would just like personally, I always suggest take 1 month, take the highest or close to the highest tier for the month and just explore everything during that month.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Philip?
Um, yeah, I think, it depends what you're interested in. I think any of the sites, no matter what it is, whether it's a large language model or it's an image generating site or video or music or whatever, there's so many different ones. They all have tutorials, honestly, and many of them are well done. It's amazing. Claude has like these little tiny videos you can watch, and it's called Claude Academy. It's literally built into the app, it's just in the help file. And the websites often have little tutorials. One thing I love to do is because I enjoy watching YouTube anyways. YouTube has tons and tons of tutorials, and you
Yeah.
could just enter the name of the thing you want to learn. If you happen to know a particular app, well, you could enter that. If you don't know anything, just say video AI, how to video AI. There's a ton of helpful things there. So
All right.
that's one thing. Yeah.
Right. Basil?
Here's what I would do. I would go into whatever chat program you're using, like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, whichever one. And if you're just getting started, I would have it create for you. I would write some prompt and have it create for you a 14-day course that's personalized to you. I would have it give you questions on like what your work is, what your relationship, what you want your relationship to AI to be, what you're trying to explore. I would have it give you and then I would have it like take those initial questions, drop it back in the prompt, and have it kind of then feed you a course that you can go through that's like customized. I think one of the great things about AI is it has the ability to scale, like to personalize, like basically scale personalization. So you can have your own thing that teaches you how you need to get into it in the way that works for you. So like that's what I would do. I'm
Great.
really
It's
I'm really really excited about like having I have a lot of my conversations with Claude are like make me a thing and tell me how to like get myself like, further down this pipeline.
Yeah, and that reminds me. Basically, his name Saul Khan, the founder of Khan Academy, was one of the very first people that came out. Aside from someone who had one of these AI companies, they came out and said this can help us. And he did similar things. He's come up with these, use it for education. So that's a great idea.
It's nice. when you
But don't use, let me add one thing. Don't use, and Basil was talking about back with his research, don't, using it for facts in research or something like that is tricky. However, when it comes to technology, I use it constantly because we all constantly have technological problems happen to us, right? My drive is not showing up on my desktop. What do I do? And you used to go to Google, and now I go to
Yeah.
my language model of choice. And the good thing about those is very often, I must say, it tells me to do something or push this button, and I say, I don't see that button. Are you, I'm using this version, or you can give it a screenshot. Anyway, with tech, it doesn't matter. Sometimes if there's a mistake because it's self-correcting as you go. So yeah, but yeah, definitely try that.
That's great. I like that you can baby step this, you can break it down to something a little bit in chunks and you can learn it. I know Stanford, I think, believe is having some courses that they're giving away for free.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so crazy. Okay,
I'll
so
also just throw in a plug here for my AI cafe. I'll just put it out there, and
yes,
I'll
please
put the link to
plug
contact me in the
away,
chat.
plug away, put it in the chat.
Yeah. So anyway, join a group. Join a group. If you're interested in it, I think it's a really fun way to do it. And so I happen to run a group. There's many others, but I run a group called AI Cafe that Roxanne is a member of, and Anne here, I think, is a member of, and it's really wonderful. Basically, it's just people mostly in documentary, but definitely not like with Roxanne, not exclusively documentary. People who are they're creative people who are interested in AI. And we meet every Monday night, East Coast time. And the best thing about it is just, you can share your own work and get help with it. That's great. If not, just seeing, and this is why it's so helpful to me, is just seeing what 30, 50 different people are doing each week, all the different things, is a really fun way to keep up with things. And everyone's very supportive. So that's a great thing. Yeah.
It's community. I think we're
Yeah.
craving community so much. And who would have thought you can have community within AI? So that's great. Thanks for plugging that.
Yeah.
So for decades, independent filmmakers have been limited to time and money and access, and AI promises to change that. So I don't know if it's promising anything to us, but that's what we're hearing. So how much of that is real? What do you see as the biggest creative and practical advantages of AI for filmmakers right now? And is it really saving the time and lowering the costs and increasing access and opening us up to new creative possibilities? I think so many people that I've talked to are, they're just absolutely never going to use it. And then next thing you know, they're using it and they're calling me saying, I'm using it now. And I'm wondering, if are we that close? And I wouldn't have even, I think I wrote this question before I found out about Tribeca being the first film festival to, I know that there's other film festivals that have like an AI category, but this was different. So is it all the promises or is that real? And are we there yet? And is this the biggest creative and practical, you know, advantages? Like, is it really going to lower costs for us? Is it really going to increase our access? Rox, you want to go?
Yeah. It's lowering cost, yes, but not, depends on what you do, because sometimes it can still take a long time to just to achieve what you want to achieve with AI, depending on, yeah. And so it's not always quicker either. So it really depends on what you're doing. Like in film animation, it's more it saves times mostly before the animation. Like it can save a lot of time for the visual creation, storyboard, character, like I was saying, developing a character with the rotation. It saves a lot of time there. But the actual animation, it depends on the style. It's a bit quicker, but it's not a miracle thing. You still need all the skills, and you still need to direct the AI. So, but you were talking about Tribeca, and it made me think about there's the biggest animation festival in the world every year in France in Annecy. And there's so much resistance in the animation community for AI. Everybody I know almost is against AI, and I'm like a traitor. But this year, this year at that Annecy festival,
Yeah.
there's that company, AI company, Dreamina, is going to be there, and it's having a huge competition at the festival for AI filmmakers. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to go.
Yes.
I'm sure there's going to be some protest or something, but
You know,
it's a step in the right direction, though. That just the fact that that festival allowed that AI company to be there and have a competition is huge.
yeah, I was just in Paris back in November for a film festival that my film was in, and they had an AI category. It was a shade of view on film and fashion. It's a fashion film festival with Diane
Oh
Pernette
yeah,
is yeah, and it's very, sophisticated. I felt like I was at the Met and the Met and Zoolander all mixed into one film festival. It was mind-bending. Um, but I was shocked that they had an AI category. And
yeah. I had a film in last year in it.
oh my gosh, okay. Wow. Yeah, and so I kind of just thought, oh, well, I actually thought, well, maybe this is just a French thing, but you're saying no, they were against, So yeah, I mean, being burnt at the stake, and then a year later, everyone's doing exactly what, it's like when ChatGPT came out, all of a sudden it was like, I'm never going to use that. No. And then it's like, well, guess what? Now it's on your Apple phone, and everyone's using it. It's kind of this love-hate thing. Um, uh, Basil, you want to speak to this?
Um, what was the question again?
How real is this? How like are we there? Are we really,
I
is
mean,
there
we're definitely there. I mean, here's the thing. I have this like theory that like the as AI gets more and more like accessible, like creates more like accessible pathways to creating images and video and audio and all this stuff, the more we're gonna need like people to go to like actually go back to go to film school and learn taste.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so much tasteless garbage out there that's like AI like
Yeah,
generated, and like if you didn't study cinematography and you're using AI to create a bunch of like images and slapping them together, typically they don't have a cinematic story. And if you didn't study editing, then your stuff typically doesn't have an editorial story. And if you didn't like study writing, then it's like the AI systems themselves, what they generate is usually pretty crappy. And like if you yourself don't have that taste of how to be a filmmaker, like and I'm not saying I have the best taste or that we all have the best or whatever, but like it is generally worse than your knowledge of it. And if you're not prodding and pushing and if you're just accepting it for what it gives you and being like, yeah, that's good enough, it will typically not be good. And like my worry is that as this stuff grows, as our um access to it grows, like it just get like we are just already mired in so much AI slop
Yeah.
and like films, people being like, I like a friend of mine said that LinkedIn is like the TMZ for AI, and like I really feel like that's true. And like my LinkedIn is just like flooded with people posting all their AI films and this and that, and
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
like yet to see something that I'm like, I mean, actually, that's true. I've seen a few things. I'm like, hey, that's actually pretty good. But then the
Yeah.
person who's doing it, I'm like, oh, you've also been studying this and you know the things and you know
Yeah.
the things. Like, I'm like, I feel like new, like, people getting into like filmmaking who have all this AI stuff. Like, I'm like, oh, you're actually going to need film school. You're going to want to study the theories of how images like go together and all the stuff because it's like Roxanne, it's like your work in AI is not just like you opening up program for the same time. It comes from like
yeah,
decades of like animation experience. And so like the stuff that you put out will automatically look like it comes from decades of experience. So like that's one of the things I'll say about the actual just creation of stuff. Like the thing that I also think that like again for me, I'm like more of a tools person, but like if you have an idea for a documentary, you can go from idea through some research, which should be fact checked, into like a treatment with a budget and a shooting plan and all that stuff really quickly using AI, like a lot of the agentic AI tools, like Manus, for example, is a great one, or like even like all these tools, like you can go from like idea to like a fully fledged pre-pro plan like fairly quickly and like quicker than it used to take by like either doing the research yourself or hiring research or whatever it is. Like you can build the tools or like use the tools out there to like get through there. And I think that's great because you can like there's this idea that like the marketing says that AI is going to solve tech debt or creative debt. Like all of a sudden you had like a backlog of ideas, and with AI you're going to get to that backlog of ideas, and you're going to just all of a sudden like you're just going to start creating tons of stuff. And the reality is that like it'll get you to about 70% of the way on a bunch of ideas, like, and the last 30% is actually much harder, like because you didn't actually do the beginning part yourself, like you've like offloaded so much of the AI that you're like kind of digging through it to be like, is this thing actually a thing? But like what I do think it'll get you there is like you can take a bunch of like random ideas and like shove them into the funnel of your own creative pipeline and like easily then use that to weed out like whether those were actually good ideas or bad ideas to like get you to like the place where you're like, oh, here's an idea and I'm actually going to commit to it. So I don't use AI for production except for maybe making call sheets, but I do use AI a lot for development. And I think in development space, it's like fantastic and like it's there and can get us there and do all these great things. And then a lot of times I use it like in the like before I give something to an editor, before I give something to an animator, I'll use it for that like assistant work.
Yes.
Like, the thing you'd hire like a junior editor for or whatever. But even then, like a lot of times, like the editors I work with are like, please don't fucking do that. Like, I actually don't want, they're like, I don't want the AI to go through the footage. I want to go through the footage so I can tell you the best story. I don't want your AI to come and start writing rough cuts. It'll do it. Is it going to do a good job? It'll do an okay job. But like, your editor typically is like, please just let me sit with the footage, even though it's like a pain in the ass to sit through however many hours of footage. It gives them they get invested in the story and they know how to tell the story. So like I think there are things we can offload to AI that we shouldn't. I think there's a lot of taste problems with AI that again it like takes us learning. And I think that there's like a lot of tools we can build to help little parts of the workflow move us there. And like all that is right now. So I think and in terms of films at film festivals, like we're going to see so much more of it. There's so
Oh,
much money being funneled into AI companies
yes.
to go to these film festivals and spend a lot of money to like to keep creating that hype and the buzz and to like get people they need the investment. They need people to buy in so badly, these companies do. And so they're going to spend a lot of money to do that. And like, and in some ways great and in some ways, you know.
Yeah. In some ways it can be propaganda. Yeah, exactly. But the taste, you're right. It's like, or cool, or, are you cool? Is this cool? Is this sexy? Like you can't, I want to see if AI can be sexy. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Philip, I just want to say I wrote Philip and I said something like, well, we'll see how this film plays and we'll see if we're there yet. And Philip wrote me back, or no, if the change is going to continue to happen, or I said something like that. And he was like,
No, I
Jill,
think you said if yeah, are we there yet? And I was
yeah,
like, well, we were there. We've been there.
yeah, we've
Yeah,
been there. And I was
we're
like,
definitely
oh, that's
there.
such a good
Yeah,
answer. Okay,
yeah.
so maybe that kind of is your answer, but can you elaborate a little?
Well, again, it's a little bit of an amorphous thing. Like, what does that mean to be there? I'll say this that when um when HD or when digital video came around, um, there was a sense that this will replace film someday. Someday we'll have high enough resolution in the video in the digital recording that it'll be as good as film, and then it'll replace film because it'll get even higher. And there were millions of people who said that's never going to happen. And I said all along, I was like, what do you mean? It's just a mathematical problem. Of course we're going to, it's going to, and why shouldn't it, and yet, and still, the old things don't go away, right? So there are filmmakers like Christopher Nolan and others who have the privilege, frankly, and Guillermo del Toro and the budget that they can continue to do it on those tools, use film and things like that, and that's great. And but then those of us who can't afford to or who are just interested in the technological experiment can do this. I think one of the most amazing things about AI though is of course is this insane diversity. It really is essentially like when digital became a thing again. Those who may remember when it first came around, it's like this digitizing stuff, right? It's going to change the world, you know. And I don't know if people remember all the controversy around CDs, right? Why?
Oh,
No, it doesn't sound like real music. It doesn't have the analog. It was insane. But anyway, there's millions of things you can do, and it all of them can exist at once. So
yeah.
you can. I agree with with Basil. We were talking about the editing. I get these ads all the time for editing AI, apps, and they say we replace the the tedium. We take care of the tedious part. Every editor just wants to get to cutting. My response is always, I love the so-called tedious part. I love that part, even if it's just organizing, right? When I'm
Yeah.
doing that, I'm getting to know the footage, and it's also satisfying in and of itself. If you like that kind of thing. Yeah, and in fact, that's how you become familiar with the footage. Is this so-called? But you know who it's tedious for? It's tedious for the person who's paying me who may want it to get done faster. So anyway, we wind up with all these things. I think we're going to wind up with situations where some editors won't use this, but they will do this. Some animators will do this, and others won't. Maybe just like cooking or something. That there's like all these
Wow.
different kinds of things, and you'll be able to do it your own way. But what's incredible is that when you are using these tools, the power of them is insane. And
Right.
so, to the ability, lastly, I would just say that to me, making films is all about creating worlds, and envisioning a world, whether it's maybe a historical world or a future world or a fictional or fantasy world. Um, the ability to do that so quickly now, or to just at least begin the process, right, of iteration, is incredible. So that's very empowering.
We are still the magic makers. And that's what I
Ooh.
meant when I was saying, guardrails. I think we also can choose to make good and put minorities in our films and, take on climate change and, try and do things that are positive. Women empowerment. You guys are all here today. I appreciate it. So audiences, I'm jumping through my questions. I have a lot of questions, but I'm gonna open it up to the audience in just a moment. But audiences, I think, don't fall in love with technology. Hollywood, it seems like they always reward people that are kind of up and coming, and especially if it's promoting their products.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm, mhm.
but they fall in love with, I think audiences fall in love with stories and emotion and the human experience behind them. And what advice would you give to emerging filmmakers who want to explore AI while they still are protecting their own voice and their own originality and their own creative integrity? Any advice for for them before we open it up? Rox?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Just what advice would you give emerging filmmakers who want to explore AI when it comes to protecting their own voice and their own originality? Is there anything that you don't want them to do? You don't want them to put their whole script in to ChatGPT, or you don't want them to, is there any do's or don'ts to just protect themselves?
I don't really have an answer for that because I'm not even protecting my stuff that much.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
I
it's
understand.
I probably should, but yeah, I don't know.
I understand that because I did get to a point with my filmmaking where I finally was just like, fine, they can copy my script. Have to get this out. Like I have to be able to get funding. I have to. Before I was so guarded and oh, I can't send that email and I can't do and I can't and I can't. There was all these rules and all these stories that I was telling myself. And at the end of the day, it's like you go make this movie. I don't think you're going to. And they didn't. So I don't know. But Basil, anything that you want to tell people how to protect themselves?
I mean, I don't know about, I mean, I think that,
Their voice. I think you already
yeah.
said one thing, which was research your research.
Yeah, well, and I think the big thing for me is like, how do you get the AI to work for you rather than you working for the AI? It's like all these like, the tools want to like make themselves easier and want to make you like think that they care for you and all, all these whatever that all this stuff. And I think that this is why like my suggestion on how to get involved in AI is to like go have it build you a workshop that you can do or whatever. It's like I'm like there's so many amazing things that you can do to like get it to like get you engaged, like get you to do a bunch of things. And so I'm like, how do you kind of take that and like be, you just, I think everybody is unique. And how do we continue to be the unique person that's at the center of our story and be the human in the loop? Like, don't take yourself as the human out of the loop. It's like, I think that's the big thing is like, everybody here can make their unique has a unique story and can make their unique story and like if AI is working for you, fuck yeah, and that's the way forward in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And use your brain, as you said earlier. Don't
Yeah.
forget about your brain power because you don't
And your
want
voice and your
this.
own aesthetic and you look at three things and you know which one you like use that in your creation and all that like
Yeah.
continue to
Yeah.
be you.
Yeah. Just don't.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just do you like when I started, sorry, I'm
Oh, it's
interrupting.
okay. It's okay.
When I started doing I thought I'm gonna do because I was after working like 37 years on other people's project all the time. I didn't even know what my style was because I was doing what they were asking me. And
Yeah.
with I realized I did have a style, but AI helped me um, um, find it and like do stuff with it. I
Oh,
don't know how to explain,
no,
but
that's great.
since the beginning, when I was doing AI, I told myself, I'm not gonna make films hoping, but I'm not gonna make films that I think people will like. I'll just do whatever I feel like doing,
Yes.
and that's what happened in the last 3 years. I made sometimes before posting, I still get nervous. Will people like it? I'm like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I don't care. That's what I want to do, and I'll post it. And then I have a style now that people recognize because of that.
Yes, like Tamara de Lempicka. To this day, you know a Tamara de Lempicka painting.
Mm.
Yeah,
And you have to have the chutzpah or the bravery to be unique and still be yourself,
yeah.
important. Yeah, that's a great point, Rox. I love that. Philip, we're gonna head into questions, but do you have anything
Okay.
real quick you want to throw on that, or should we just go into questions?
I just real quick. Just before I got on, I saw sad news that Marcia Lucas had died. Marcia Lucas was the editor of Star Wars, and a bunch of other movies, Taxi Driver, and on and on. But when I saw Star Wars, I was 10 years old. It's this movie that was like an insane technological revolution, right? You were blown away by the technology and all. At the end of the movie, and I'm going to find out whether this was something she put in there because basically she saved Star Wars. Without her, without this editor, without her work, it wouldn't exist. So at the very end of the movie, for those who remember, Luke he's about to do, he's got to drop this bomb in the thing and blow up the Death Star, and Obi-Wan comes into his ear and says, "Turn, trust your feelings." And he turns off his computer and everybody freaks out. Luke, you've turned off the computer. What are you doing? And then he goes, and of course he does it. It's all once. But I got that message as a kid. I was like, whoa, inside all the technology, trust your feelings, and I think and not only trust your feelings, but make sure you're putting your feelings in to the work, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love ending on that. Oh, your thoughts have given us, so much to reflect on. And I know our members have truly appreciated hearing from people who are, filmmakers that are actively navigating all of this shift in real time. And you guys make it accessible and feel a little bit more safe and have a little bit more heart and a little bit more soul. So I so appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and open it up to questions. We have, I'm sure, a ton of questions in the chat already. Carol's going to monitor that, and Olivia will spotlight. And so let's go ahead and get into some questions.
Can I just jump in
Yeah, jump right in, Carol. Carol's going to help. Carol's
okay, well, one of a very early question in the chat was, what do you see the near future of using AI in documentaries?
Anybody particularly drawn to that?
Well, I'll just say, I think, actually, I might have written in the chat too. I think right away, we're already seeing, and we're going to see more. One of the easiest things for AI to do is solve a problem is you can generate your own B-roll. Something that in the past you would have either had to go buy stock footage, which you would do, which took a lot of time and some money, or you would go shoot it maybe yourself if you could. Anyway, but you have an incredible, almost like the world is your oyster in terms of what do you want that B-roll to be now. So I think that's one thing. I think we're going to see possibly some music. Some people are using AI music in their films. I actually use it sometimes just as temp music, just to get me going until our composer has time to come in. But some people may not even be able to afford more than that. So we're definitely going to see that. The ability to use AI voices, synthesized voices that sound realistic. There's a million different ways you can use that. Sometimes just to repair old footage, to clean up things, or just to have a narrator who didn't exist, or any number of other things you can do for that. And some video, I think we're going to start to see some video used in recreations. That's going to take a little bit more time because it's a little bit hard to do. But I do know, actually, we have a friend even who's been producing a show that is about a famous historical figure, and they're sort of doing reenactments of certain scenes from this person's life who existed before photography and things like that. So, yeah.
Carol, next question.
Well, I have a question. What would you recommend what AI tool would you recommend for storyboarding?
Roxanne, do you do storyboarding? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No,
okay.
go ahead, Basil. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, honestly, picking up off of what you said very, very early on, which is like Nano Banana,
Yeah.
and like either using that and just like prompting each, like taking your script and building prompts and just going in and individually doing it, or like like I use Manus, which is like an agentic tool, and Manus uses Nano Banana, so I could drop an entire script into Manus. Manus will take that and then it'll create the prompts and it'll prompt Nano Banana and then deliver an entire storyboard set. I haven't done it that often because that's not my world of it, but yeah.
I also recently I asked Nano Banana, give me a 3x3 grid of this sequence, different shots of yeah, and it will give you like 3x3 an image with 9 images, and I get really good ideas. It gives me ideas. Oh, that shot would be great, that angle, and yeah. So that's how I do the storyboards now with Nano Banana.
And for those who don't know, Nano Banana is also, you can get it through Google Gemini. It's basically Google's image thing. And ChatGPT now also has apparently is running neck and neck for the top of the line the images you can make through ChatGPT. It's called GPT-2, I think, right?
Not as cool of a name.
No,
No,
definitely.
Nano Banana. No, I'm sorry, just not as cool.
Exactly.
But once you have the 3x3 grid, you can ask, oh, give me you can ask them to put a number. Give me number 3 in full resolution.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
What's really insane is, just to jump all the way to the end of that process, is you can take that storyboard and give it to one of the modern video models like Kling and I think Seedance, right? And it'll actually, you may only get up to a 15-second clip out of those things, so I'm not sure how many shots you get, but they now do many shots. It used to be video, you got one shot. Now it's just a whole cut scene. So it'll take your storyboard and I mean, it's insane. Now, always one or two of those is going to be maybe funky and you got to do it again, but still.
But that's cool. I do that a lot for action sequence. It's called multi-shot. Yeah.
Multi-shot. Yeah.
And then I take the best one and
yeah.
Yeah, and
exactly. That's what you do.
there's no legal ramification when it comes to storyboarding. So, and I don't know that where we're at with legal ramifications when it comes to actual footage within docs at this point. I do know that when I was just making my documentary, The True Story of Tamara de Lempicka and the Art of Survival, that when we were working very closely with UCI, which is their law department, they were looking at what was legal when what we were thinking about using if we were going to use something, which we really ended up not using anything but one particular photo that was AI generated. But I know someone was just asking about the legal, and I don't think any of us here really are lawyers, but is anybody want to comment on the legal, or is that we're just going to have another panel another day?
Well, I just put in the chat, like some of the streamers already have their guidelines put, like I know Netflix has like AI guidelines that they use for filmmakers they work with. I know like I don't know about the other ones, but I'm sure a lot of the streamers have their guidelines already set and are evolving. And I know that like this isn't a legal question, but what I would say is if you're working in documentary, like looking at the Archival Producers Alliance has built like a fantastic set of guidelines for ethical usage of AI in terms of like creating the or like talking about things in the public record. Like following their guidelines is fantastic, and they're working with a lot of the streamers to help encourage like influence the streamers guidelines based on that because they're really trying to stick the landing on preserving public record through documentary. So check out the Archival Producers Alliance for those guidelines.
Yeah, yeah. And I just put in the chat, there's a site called CopySite that allows you to, a lot of people are at the moment, they just go online and they're just generating video. Like here's and it's always some science fiction thing or ninja thing because they're all boys. And it comes up, is that too close to Batman? Is that too close to Mario? Whatever. Now it doesn't have to be that obvious. It might be an actor that maybe you don't even recognize. So one of the things people are doing, somebody here, whoever created that site, saw this place to get in and maybe try to be helpful and have a business. They said, give us your stuff and we will check, so that whatever they do, they somehow check just to see whether your stuff is okay to publish. I'm sure that's not a legal guarantee, at least, but it's sort of one check.
Yeah,
but at the moment, the bottom line at the moment is it's still, it's really the Wild West. These things have to take their time getting through, and it really comes down to, again, I have friends now who are producing shows that are using AI, and it comes down to how courageous are the networks, or whoever the streamers, whoever it is you're making it for, how much are they willing to go out on a limb? Some are willing to go way out there, actually, just to see if maybe this is a whole new style of filmmaking and we could have a hit show on our hands, so it's okay. Others are much more timid. So
yeah, and the insurance companies have to, at the end of the day,
right.
the so that's still a safety net, as well as you're not going to pass you're not going to get your letter from your lawyers, and you're not going to get your
One thing I will mention is, and I assume it's still the case, although I haven't checked in a while, Adobe from the beginning said that their model, now that would be you can use Photoshop, you can actually access other models. So, but their model, the Fireflies model, Adobe model, they're teamed up with Getty, and they have said that our AI was trained on everything that we already owned. Therefore, we can sell you the license. So when you license this from us, you're good to go. Now, their AI, it wasn't quite as good because they didn't have as many images in the training. So that's why they had to start allowing Nano Banana and other things to be available on their service. However, if you really want to be safe, it's another way to be safe, I think, would go to use the Adobe model. Yeah.
Great. Carol, is there another one trending?
Yeah, there's this question here. I was curious about your opinions of how we define art and performance. To me, I understand art as a tool of expression and that its appeal is found in the authenticity of the creators. In the cases of AI, machine AI made films, especially its use without actors, how do you interpret its value, especially as it is missing the crucial aspect of film performance, which is actor interpretation and the web of personal experiences that shape their acting?
I'm interested to hear what you guys think. I'll just say real quick. I think I might be overthinking it a little bit because it's one thing that you don't realize is maybe because it tricks your brain. It's just animation. It's just animation, right? So we don't say, if we watch a Pixar movie, do we say, I mean, there was a voice actor involved, so maybe we should say that was a performance. But anyway, you have to remember it's just animation. And whether it's art or not, that's just up to you. Yeah, whether you think it's art.
Well, I remember when Photoshop came out, everyone was saying, this is ruining, photography. This is
Right.
not photography any longer, and I don't know anybody that's not using or hasn't used Photoshop within life over the last, 20 years or whatever it is. So yeah, I know it's definitely all kind of confusing, but like you said, it does trick your brain, so you got to be careful. Carol, anything trending?
I don't see any other questions.
Okay, does anybody have a question they want to ask and just raise their hand? Because I know that sometimes people, Heather, would like to ask their own question. I'll put it in the chat for everybody to judge. And yeah, go for it, Heather. Hi,
So,
see you.
hi. Um, I almost have a master's in AI now, and I have an MFA in animation visual effects. I haven't been able to get a job in 11 years. So, my question is, okay, first and foremost, how much are y'all fooling yourselves and believing that this actually works? Because here's why I know. It's a calculator at best. The only thing that gets results out of AI is work. And I have been writing a book. Some of you may know that last year I took it to start talking about whether it could be a movie or whatever. Anyways, so I wanted to test AI, and what I started with was editing, simple editing of my book. We haven't gotten through chapter 1 and it's been 11 months. Because depending on the program, so ChatGPT, OpenAI, is affirmative programming. That means that every time you say something, it'll tell you what you want to hear. Claude is not even close to being analytical. But it's a little bit different. I won't say there's been no like progress forward. Is it because I'm a jerk? Is it because I'm being hypercritical? No, I'm asking it to change, just to look for spelling, for, grammatical error. And instead, I'm getting 8 versions of something that I didn't write. So,
Are you prompting it not to do that?
yeah. Oh, I've got 61 pages of prompts just about my rules. And that's in 11 months. So, okay, it makes beautiful pictures, and I'm not, I am having a blasty blast, but it is excessively frustrating to hear the fiction of the science for me. I'm a very black and white person. And if something doesn't give me results, then I don't use it anymore. And the only thing that I am able to use this in a serious, I want to produce this way, is the images are fantastic. I've had, Nano Banana, and personally, I actually love DALL-E better, not Chat 2. It's called DALL-E. That's their art side. I love it. Other people have a hard time with it, but I think it's because I'm more a writer. So I write longer prompts, very, very specific prompts, and just so that I can get the image I want, not 16 images I don't. I don't like to waste time. So, anyways, what is my question? With what we're seeing, So data entry is where all the layoffs are going right now. Okay. That's pretty much what it is. How is that going to affect the film industry? Because without humans, it never has worked before, the film industry. So I worry because I'm in the animation industry. I literally decided to do this master's to add to my toolbox. And is it actually a good thing? I have friends who like see my posts and they're like, Heather, you're so critical. Well, that's because people are not thinking critically. People are thinking about fear. People are thinking also on the opposite scale about fantasy. And we have to get a place, just like with PCs, just like with everything else that's a new innovation. We have to get to a place where we're talking about reality. I don't want to see people lose jobs because that's who we are. I'm a person. I don't know about anybody else.
Oh,
And
I don't.
my question is like, are we going to get to a place where everybody starts being realistic and using it as the tool it was devised to be?
I think Roxanne, because she's talking about animation. I think you know it'd be nice to hear if you have any words of wisdom here. Um, go ahead if you do. If not, we can.
Yeah, but Heather is talking about like the large language models mostly, and I agree with some of it. I struggle sometimes with ChatGPT, like changing. If I ask to change one part, it will change more, things like that. It's inconsistent. But for the film industry, if it's not just writing scripts, I think there is a lot of hype too, but I think it is very helpful, and I don't think it's ever gonna replace humans completely. I think it's just
Exactly.
another tool in the workflow.
I see a
And
lot of questions on a lot of students around me. I'm 57, so I have a different perspective where they're listening to the scare tactic. And I was
no,
like, well, wait a minute, guys. You guys got to back up a little bit, okay? Because this is a new experience to you, but it's not to me and it's not to others. We've all seen innovation happen and everybody was scared and right?
yeah,
But
no,
to teach it,
I believe that there's going to be a lot of hybrid productions, like still using live action, but using AI for special effects and using AI for this and that. I don't think, but there's going to be maybe a part of it with fully AI films, but I don't think, I think the traditional way is still going to exist, but with some AI in the pipeline.
yes, like an assistant,
Yeah.
like a counterpart, even. Thank you
Another,
so much.
it's
I had a
another.
lot on my head. And
No, it's a lot. It's all a lot. And I think, Heather, I know there's some people in the chat that I think somebody wants to talk to you about a job. So that's interesting. Michael, go for it.
Yes, yes. Thanks for calling on me. One thing is, I got into AI about a year ago, and one of the fortunate things that happened to me was I was able to participate in Phil's AI Cafe. And that's when I saw some of Roxanne's work. And you have to go to Roxanne's site and see the incredible imaginative work she is doing. And what resonates with me is here's a person who has spent all her life working for other people in animation, which she continues to do using AI tools, but now she has the ability to do her own work because it's affordable and it's just as creative. So I think the people in this group, the best thing I would say is spend $50 to $100 a month, get started, decide whether you like it or not. It's so doable, especially for people who've spent most of their lives working with images, editing, or whatever you do, you're like really ready to get involved. But do invest some money to do it. Don't, anyway, that's my take. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out too to Michael. It's great to see you. Michael's been coming to AI Cafe almost every week. And Michael, when you started, right, you were just I don't think you'd made anything yet, and then slowly
No.
you started making
Right.
dabbling with AI, and now you're making these wonderful beautiful short films.
Right.
So
Right.
thanks.
And like I said, you gotta do it. It's so doable. You just start by creating images, and then you animate. Those images come alive, and then the skill of, in my case, the skill of editing allows me to assemble these clips like I would do if it was real, quote, real footage. I started in film. I went into videotape. I've done Avid, all that stuff. This stuff is as real as everything else I've done, in my mind.
I think you're right, Michael. I think that it comes down to also gifts, taste, as Basil said. Some of us have a certain kind of, also rocks what you said about, you have a particular style. So some people, for instance, I'm dyslexic. This has been, it's taken my cane away, and I can run now in a way that I could never. And I think different than most people because I have dyslexia and I have ADD. And this has become a life changer for me when it comes to uh, being able to be on a level playing field for the first time, being able to speak a language that perhaps I may have came across as stupid sometimes. And I all of a sudden could speak the language. And if you're raised on a farm and you're not, you don't go to Harvard, you're going to think differently. But let's say you go and you travel the world and you go to different countries and you go to museums and you self-learn, you may actually handle chat differently and Claude differently and Nana Banana differently. You may handle these things differently because you have a particular different way of thinking. Editors like Michael have a different way of thinking. Rox is an animation. She has a different way of thinking. Imagine putting all of these creative minds together using people, not losing the heart and the soul of the story, but being able to come together and make something that helps to change the world for the better. And that's why I think we have to be at the table. And that's why I want to continue to do these kinds of programs, events, panels, because we need the good people at the table. I keep saying that. We really do. So we're going to close. Um, and I just want to thank Roxanne and Philip and Basil for sharing your insight and your expertise and your generosity with today. I know everybody wants to go have a life. I'm going to go see a museum today. I'm so excited.
Yes.
This conversation has reminded us that AI is neither something to fear blindly nor embrace without question. And it's a powerful tool. And like any powerful tool, it calls for thoughtfulness and responsibility and deep commitment to human creativity. And you have helped us so much. You have no idea how much I really appreciate all of you and all that came today, and also how, to protect ourselves and how to face this, what's ahead with curiosity, rather than just completely with fear. But it's okay to have a good dose of fear, and why why this is also important. So thank you so much, and a huge thank you to our volunteers like Olivia and Darlene, who's our board member, and Carol, and Diane for getting our community partners. It just, the list goes on, and all of the guests that are here. And please visit our website if you'd like to join and become a member. For today, we're having a application new. You could renew individual memberships And you're going to get a $15 discount. Or if you want to join, also there's a discount that's going to be inside of the chat. There's a code there. Please save the chat right now if you haven't. And if you're a member, your membership is not up yet, no worries, just there's the code in there. So the code is good for just 1 month, so before it expires June 30th. And also I'd like to offer a special, we're doing a spring discount, so look for that. So let's see, I think Carol has something she'd like to say really quick.
Oh yeah, sure. There's many events that are coming up for our group in just 8 days. There'll be we're holding a pitch practice for those preparing for our Picture Pro night in 2 weeks. So James D'Alessandro, who is a prolific writer, producer, and director, and his friend Pamela Wallace, who is an Oscar-winning screenwriter, they'll be listening to pitches and giving feedback on what is working and how to improve it. And so the following week, on Monday, June 15th, instead of a monthly table read, we will be holding our 4th annual Picture Pro night. So 9 industry professionals will be listening to pitches from filmmakers and screenwriters in individual breakout rooms. Then we'll all get back together and 3 lucky people will be chosen to pitch the entire pro panel and the whole room. And so slots are filling up fast, so sign up as soon as possible. And I'll put the link to sign up for both in the chat. Okay, so basically it's just www.WIFSFBA.org. And then you can just scroll down to whichever one you want to sign up for. Okay, and then on June 24th, we'll have another virtual networking night. And I hope you can join us for some or all of it. Also, members and non-members alike are still meeting locally in the San Francisco and the East Bay areas. And in June, we're also adding a South Bay local meetup. And so we hope you can join us, fellow creatives, for conversation and connection. Now, back to Julie.
As we close for today, we hope you'll follow us on social media. We have our Facebook account. It's WIFSFBA. We also have Instagram, LinkedIn, and please also look for our WIF chat. That's our listserv with thousands of people that are in the industry that have been around for over 20 years. Those people have been around and they're amazing. I've hired from that listserv every single time I've hired, and it saved my life so much. So those are all on our social media. I mean, on our website, you can check them out, but that's WIF chat, WIFCHAT. And that's it for now. So I'd like to say a special thank you again to our terrific panel and to our board and to our volunteers. Olivia, again, thank you. I appreciate you always showing up. And thanks to all of you for being here today. Go have a great afternoon. It's beautiful today in San Francisco. Actually, I'm about 5 minutes from Berkeley. We'll see what it's like in San Francisco. It's probably raining. Okay, so drive safe, everybody. I know I'm joking. I'm not that funny, but haha. Give me a courtesy laugh. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much, Philip.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.